Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig Podcast, we want to know, are you playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on Game Pass? Did you hear about Ubisoft closing doors of the team behind the Prince of Persia Lost Crown and its new game November?
Well, guys, welcome. If you're new around here, we're glad to have you. We are a viewer-driven podcast, which means we read and react to your comments, both live on Twitch, and we read and react to comments that are left on our polls. Today, we're starting things off with a conversation about Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which, if you've been following us for any length of time, you may not expect us to talk about Call of Duty, because I think, admittedly, over the years, we have said that neither of us are big Call of Duty fans. We don't really play the games that much.
I woke up today, Randy. I went to bed last night pumped to talk about Call of Duty. I mean, there are few games that come out year after year after year after year that hold my interest like good old COD. Am I right?
No, I mean, like, obviously, I don't know that we've ever talked about, we probably have talked about a Call of Duty on the podcast before, but it's generally because we just don't play them, so we don't have a whole lot to say about them. But for the first time, well, I shouldn't say the first time ever, because I've definitely played at Call of Duty a long time ago, back on like the Xbox 360. But in many, many years, I had Game Pass. This is the first Call of Duty to come to Game Pass day one. So I was like, you know what? Heck, I'm just going to try it because it's not going to cost me anything. So I did play day one. I played Call of Duty and played some of the... I've been playing. I'm not done with it, but I've been playing the campaign. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that I disliked it. I was actually pleasantly surprised with the campaign. Now, it has its issues, and I want to talk about those because they're actually kind of funny. But overall, I really like the campaign. I think it's super fun, actually.
Well, like I said, I'm a big Call of Duty fan. So, I'll probably go out and purchase multiple Game Pass subscriptions so that I can play this. We have brought up Call of Duty on the pod before. Namely, I remember when we were discussing what is an indie game, we used Call of Duty as like the antithesis of that.
Right.
So you're going against the grain on a year that has been dominated with great indies.
Oh yeah, definitely have great indies this year, and you're right. Call of Duty is the opposite of an indie for sure. Full stop. But yeah, we put out a poll. I mean, like, in fact, we included two polls in this thing here, because two semi-related polls about Call of Duty. One asking if you're planning on playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and then another asking specifically about Game Pass. But we'll talk about the first one first. Do you plan on playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6?
Yeah, 9% said, yeah, I'm going to play that on PC. 20% said, yeah, on PS5 or my Xbox. 2% said, yeah, I'm going to play it on a previous gen console, PS4 and Xbox One. And 70% said, hell no, I am not interested. The people have spoken. The Gaming Gig faithful, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, generally we use the metric of if over 50% of people say yes, they plan on playing it. That's like good. A sign that the game is really, really hyped.
Yeah.
In this instance, we have 30% of people, if you add all the numbers together. Actually, it comes out 31 if you add the numbers together.
Yeah, we have 101% of our 2.1 thousand votes accounted for in this poll. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe we need a recount. I don't know.
We might. Dan here on Twitch is saying the first poll adds up to 101. Yep, it definitely does. But still, the point is that it doesn't seem like this game is super hyped, but you have to consider that the people who watch and who vote on the polls and Gaming Gig, generally they're a little bit more of the like hardcore gaming audience. Also, a lot of them are pretty Nintendo focused. and
Right.
this game isn't coming out on Nintendo, so a lot of people just can't play it if they,
Not till they
So
drop the successor to the Nintendo Switch with all the teraflops you could ever want.
I do think that Call of Duty will be coming to the successor of the Nintendo Switch, so that's something to look out for. I think they have a contract. I think it has to.
I think you're right. Didn't they say like, is it like 10 years or something? Like some sort of crazy
Yeah,
number of like.
I think it's for a decade.
That's wild.
And Call of Duty is generally an annualized release, so there's gonna be a lot of Call of Duty games come out on the next Switch system.
Right. Maybe in the future we'll have a podcast topic about is Nintendo hardware bottlenecking Call of Duty?
We could be having that conversation right now because not about Nintendo, but this is a game that we are 4 years in, almost in the fifth year of this newest generation of gaming consoles, yet still games are coming out on PS4 and Xbox One. And this is a really great example of a game that is, because it's just so big that it kind of, I feel like they'd be leaving a lot on the table if they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, only 2% said they're going to play it on one of those consoles. So I don't know. Maybe that's a sign that people are finally adopting the current gen. I don't know. That's a small number, 2%.
Yeah, that is small. But I mean, at the same time, you could also argue that 30% of people saying yes, they want to play this is a fairly small number when you consider how popular Call of Duty is. And I think we could assume that generally the gaming gig people are not super into Call of Duty, but the more casual audience, this is a game that so many people just play Call of Duty. Like, Call of Duty is their game. They have a PlayStation. It's basically a Call of Duty machine. And then every year they get the new Call of Duty game. They may pick up one or two other games throughout the year, but generally it's just Call of Duty.
Right.
And those people probably aren't voting on this poll.
Well, the important thing isn't who's excited for Call of Duty, Randy. The important metric here is who's getting Game Pass because of it.
Yeah.
Which is there was
there was an analyst came out and said that they expected that this Call of Duty game being day one on Game Pass could potentially bring like millions of new Game Pass subscribers to Xbox or to Microsoft. And I thought that was crazy because I'm like, really? Is it really going to make like millions of people sign up for it to play it on Game Pass so they can pay less? So we put out a poll to try to see if that holds true, at least in the gaming gig audience, and asked, do you plan on subscribing to Game Pass to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6?
That's right. And at 5%, people said yes. At 25% said no, but that's because I've already got Game Pass. 8% said no, I plan on buying the game for real. And 62% said no, I'm not interested in this game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're moving millions or not. It's hard to tell from a gaming gig poll, but survey would suggest maybe not.
Yeah, the survey here suggests that maybe not so many people are going to subscribe, like become new subscribers just to play Call of Duty. Only 5% of people. But then again, if you do some like back of the napkin math, and you say that like, okay, 5% of people are going to subscribe to Game Pass just to play this game. And then you say, okay, we know that like almost 30% of people said they wanted to play the game. So maybe you could say, I don't know, maybe like a good, 15 to 20% of people who are going to play it are going to play it via Game Pass or are going to subscribe to play it on Game Pass. That is millions of people. So I don't think my math is good there. I feel like I'm just like making some logical jumps that maybe aren't good, but I think that there is maybe something to be said about that. Like,
I just worked it out on the back of my hand. I think we might have forgot to carry a 1. But I mean, I see where you're coming from. When you extrapolate this to such a large amount of people, it could be a hell of a lot of people. I don't know. Like I said, I may have forgot to carry 1, and I don't have my napkin. So,
right. Back of the hand math is very different than back of the napkin math.
And I did it in pen, and I always get mad at my students for doing that because I made a mistake. I had to scratch it out. Like, it's a whole thing. You know that. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on to comments. I'm gonna let you read this first one because I'm no way I'm getting this name right.
Oh, no problem. Our first comment comes to us from Der Ekte Andre, who said, I'm only interested in the single player campaign, never played a COD before, so it's time to try with the Game Pass. Well, I'm interested in what kind of fish you have played before. If not a cod, maybe a bass or a fine salmon. But much like my cohort here with the beard, if you are interested in playing that campaign, Game Pass would be a hell of a good place to do it, and you'd save some cash. So,
Yeah,
Der
yeah.
Ekte Andre, I support you.
Yeah, I mean that's my thought is like I'm not very interested in the other modes. Like I know that there is multiplayer mode, which may be the mode that most people want to play. And then of course there's the zombies mode, which I did play one of the zombies modes back on Call of Duty back on the 360 and really liked it, admittedly.
Yeah.
But the campaign is the thing I was most interested in. And I kind of feel like because the campaign is just one like part, and it's probably a smaller part, a very smaller part if you add it up by hours. I definitely don't want to pay $70 just to play the campaign, especially since the campaign probably isn't going to be that replayable. It's kind of a one and done kind of deal. So this is perfect for Game Pass.
Yeah. I mean, it's no secret that the primary COD audience is probably a multiplayer crowd. That's been documented. I mean, I don't remember which game it was. It Warzone that came out didn't even have a campaign.
Yeah, I think that is just a multiplayer game.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be huge. And the last Call of Duty campaign I played, admittedly, was probably the first Black Ops. Like, was that 360? I guess. And it was fun. I'm sure it's fun. I mean, shooting bad guys is fun. That's everybody knows that. So I'm not surprised that you're having a good time with it.
Yeah, the shooting is really, really responsive. The campaign missions I've done so far have been obviously they're kind of over the top, but that just makes them fun. I mean, like video games should be over the top and fun, and I've just enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
The presentation is really good. There's definitely some issues, but overall, it's like this game. It looks pretty good. Yeah, I know it's kind of like bottlenecked by also being on last generation consoles, but it doesn't look so bad that it's like this game looks like a last gen game. It looks good. It still looks good. I'm playing it on my PC. I'm playing it with the best graphics I can get with my system, and I don't know, it's just fun.
You keyboard and mousing?
Oh yeah,
Look
it's
at
super
you.
fun keyboard and mouse too.
Look at you. I'm proud of you.
First person shooters keyboard mouse it's the way to go.
I know
They're
it is.
so much fun.
I know. Do you remember? I think it was at Black Ops, maybe Black Ops 1, that campaign that I played. I know I played this mission. Anyway, do you remember that mission where you're the sniper and you're having to shoot from like a crazy amount of distance and you have to like take into account the wind and like all this stuff? It was like you like sneak in with a ghillie suit and then you like take this crazy shot. Like it's a pretty famous campaign mission.
No, I don't remember that. I didn't play that one.
Well, that's from a Call of Duty game, and that's fun as hell. So, if I had a Game Pass subscription, honestly, I probably wouldn't play it just because I got a lot of crap I'm trying to play right now. But, I'm sure it's fun. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of money that goes into these games, so they ought to at least be flashy and good looking. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the shooting's great because that's what COD is.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously, they've had time to refine it, right? I mean, this is not the first Call of Duty, so surely they've worked it out.
Modern Warfare. That's what it was, Dan. Modern Warfare.
I don't remember which one it is that I played back in the day on the 360. And I didn't play through the whole campaign, but I did play some of it. Well, let's move into the next comment. Yeah, exactly. And I want to talk about some of the more negative sides of the game.
Okay. Well, hit us with this comment from Space Ninjax.
Yeah, Space Ninjax says, is it me or have people suddenly gone off Call of Duty when Microsoft buy Activision?
I do think it changed perception a little bit.
I think so, too. I don't know that people have suddenly... Well, I think that, one, it's like you kind of already had Activision, which it's not like was the most beloved developer. And then when you combine it with Microsoft, who is also just, one of the biggest companies in the entire world, Speaking of biggest companies in the entire world, did you see that the new most profitable company in the entire world just changed hands today? It's a different
No,
company now.
it's not.
Yep,
Was it Apple before?
it was Apple, and
What is
now
it
it's
now?
I don't want to get this wrong, but I think it's Nvidia, which is
Nvidia.
gaming related. Yeah, I think so. I may be wrong
Seriously?
about that. Let me check and see.
I mean,
Nvidia overtakes Apple as world's most valuable company. Yep.
whoa,
Yeah, that's wild.
that is wild. I would have never guessed that. But I'm sure
Yeah.
they've been hanging out in the top for a while now, and I just didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, I know Nvidia obviously, I mean, they sell some pretty premium products and they're selling
Yeah,
a lot of them.
and they're in all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean,
It's
I
in my
thought that was
PC
crazy.
right here.
I didn't really read into that as to why. I'm sure it has to do with just the fact that, I mean, maybe it's AI. I know Nvidia does some like AI powered stuff, so I know they're behind that. So
Yeah.
maybe that's it. Let me read here a little bit. It said that their market values be attributed to NVIDIA's status as leading provider of computing parts required to development of AI. Yep, so it was AI stuff. Man, AI stuff's crazy. So
It is. It is crazy. Um, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. I will say the most meaningful way that AI has changed my life recently, and then we can get back on the subject here. Um, on my phone, AI summarizes emails and notifications for me, and it's very small. But when you like stay away from your phone for like 2 hours, and then you get like 20 Discord notifications, and then you can like pull up your notification center, and it'll say like, "This was discussed, and this was said, and this was discussed."
oh, that's
pretty,
cool.
It's actually pretty helpful.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like. I could. I wonder what it says right now. We'll
Yeah,
do
I
a-
would be interested to know.
It says. So the Discord notifications say discussing space pirates, Disney movies, and game recommendations. So
Interesting.
it's very broad,
Okay.
but I mean it is accurate, and it'll throw out a couple specifics and give you the broad. Like I kind of like
Right.
it. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
kind of cool.
back to it.
Back to, yeah. So, like, I do want to kind of use this comment as a moment to talk about some of the negative things that I've experienced playing this Black Ops 6 thing. And mostly it's just asinine how this game launches on a PC. How weird it is to install it, just to get to play it. I've had so many problems with it. Yeah, that's right. Asinine.
So what kind of problems have you had?
So one, I mean, like I didn't have any problem installing it, but the way you install it's really weird. Like, but I know some other people have had some issues. But you go in, you install Call of Duty. Like it's not just Black Ops 6, it's Call of Duty. And then you have to choose like out of a list of games, you have to choose what you want and like what packs you want. Like you want the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign, do you want the multiplayer, do you want like and then you got to get all the extras and it's really weird. It makes no sense. But
So
not
they've
that
got their
bad. You
own.
get through it.
They've got their own launcher.
They've got their own launcher.
Okay.
They do.
So it
And
sounds
then-
kind of like a. That reminds me of Gears 5 because Gears 5 will let you pick like what you want to install, and I thought it was really weird at first, but I actually really like it. Because if you don't want the multiplayer or you don't want the campaign, you can install less and you get playing quicker. But go
Yeah.
ahead. It sounds
I
like you
guess
got more
that's-
problems.
That's probably the idea behind it. Do you have to do it in battle.net? I think you do if you do it through Steam. I did it through Xbox because it's through Game Pass, and I did not. Now, I don't know if I already had it, and maybe I did, and I just didn't realize it. I don't think so, though. I don't know if it's different for Steam or Xbox, but I don't think I did.
Okay.
But so there's that. And then I've had trouble with the game it's new and it needs lots of updates. So it'll let you like load into the game before it tells you that it needs to update, which is really annoying because the game takes a while to load. It does that like loading preloading shaders and you know what I'm talking about where it takes
Yeah.
a while and it'll like take a while to get into the game and then it'll say, oh, you need to update and restart. Which is a little annoying because it pulls up the Call of Duty like a client, like the kind of thing. Then you click into Black Ops 6 and then it transfers over into a completely other thing. That shuts down, then Black Ops 6 opens up, and then it like loads in, and that's when it tells you that it needs a restart, which is really annoying. But then on top of that, it'll often load you in, and then it'll put you in a queue because like the servers are overloaded, and you have to wait to play the game. And I'm just trying to play the campaign.
Right.
And like, why are they putting me in a queue to play an offline campaign? I know like online's required, but it's like I shouldn't have to sit and just stare at my computer to wait just to play in a campaign mode. It's like, why?
Well,
So
it's got the
super
Helldivers
annoying.
problem. But
But it's not. Helldivers is at least online all the time. This game's not even online. It's like it's a single player campaign. It has nothing to do with you're not playing with other people.
it probably has a DRM that makes it have to hit online.
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
But it shouldn't put you in a queue to DRM you. Like
well, that's true.
it just makes no sense to me. So like, it's been stuff like that, and it's crashed on me a couple times. Always crash when trying to load up the game. So it's just like there's definitely been issues with the game loading up and playing it on my computer. So that's the only real issues I've had. But they have been. It's definitely been a sore spot for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Gampaw. That does remind me of Helldivers, but Helldivers was like a victim of extreme unforeseen success. Call of Duty knows what they're getting into. So, that is a little hard, that's a little off-putting, I guess I should say.
It's definitely off-putting if you just want to play. I could understand if I was playing the multiplayer, and like, I get that like servers, their servers are probably being very taxed right now. It's a brand new game. It just came out. Everybody's playing it. I could understand, but for the campaign, it's kind of like it is very off-putting.
Yeah. All right, you ready for the last comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, this one comes from Air Force X, who said, "It will be the biggest game this year. The beta was awesome."
Yeah, that was really wanting to talk about like, will this be the biggest game of the year? We're launching pretty late in the year, and this kind of happened last year with the last Call of Duty, and it didn't end up being the best-selling game of the year. I think Hogwarts Legacy overtook it and sold better last year.
Yeah. So when we say biggest, we're just talking about sales? We're not talking about game of the year, right?
No, I think we're talking about sales. I think we're talking about it's going to be the best-selling game of the year.
Well, I think that history has taught us that games that launch day one on Game Pass don't do that.
Oh, good point.
So I don't agree with you, Air Force X. Now it may be a hell of a big install, but I don't think it's going to move as many numbers as, I don't know. I mean, what's number one right now? I mean, I think about things like Final Fantasy or maybe Astrobot. I don't know. I don't know what's number one right now, honestly. But
yeah, there haven't been a lot of huge games this year. It's been a pretty slow year. October was pretty big. Like October was a big month, had a lot of big releases. Probably with the crown achievement of being Call of Duty being the biggest game that released in October. And we're going to talk about November games later on in the podcast. But it's interesting. I think that this year, this game, because the campaign is really good. And from all the reviews I've read, everyone who I read reviews from really liked the campaign. Like they all said it was like one of the best campaigns that Call of Duty has had in a very long time, and which is cool because it's the first one I've jumped in on, and so that's good to know that I'm not playing one of the crappy ones. But yeah, I don't know. Everyone's been really enjoying it, but the Game Pass thing really does it kind of puts a wrench in it, and it's like they're probably going to be bragging about their player numbers, not about how many units they sold.
yeah, I would agree. I think that will definitely be the stat that they pick if they have to pick one. And I'm glad that the campaign is good. I think I know that I feel a certain amount of fatigue towards these games that we see all the time. Year in and year out, or even these companies that put games out that seem really similar. Year in and year out. We see it with Ubisoft. We saw it with EA. Of course, EA maybe made their own bed, but I feel like people are feeling that way maybe towards COD to a certain extent. We see it every year, and I just don't know that everybody's hyped about it like maybe they were when we were younger.
Yeah.
There's a lot more choices now.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're putting some love into the campaign, that can only help, because I know that me personally, like, if it just continues to be like only a multiplayer game, that's not going to pull me back in. It's just not going to do it.
Yeah.
But if the campaign is freaking amazing and they keep putting time and effort into that, then that would be maybe what makes me pick up a month of Game Pass to try it out.
Right. I think that I don't think you're alone on that either. I think a lot of people, like, even some of the more hardcore gamers that maybe have been burnt out by Call of Duty, or even just the idea of Call of Duty, they're like just tired of hearing about it. I think even them, if they're like, I heard the campaign's really good. If they don't already have Game Pass, I can say, oh, I can try Game Pass for PC for like, what is it, like $12, $13, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's
that's the best value for sure if you've got a PC.
You say I can play it, and then also in the month I can play something else, and I'll get my money's worth out of a month of Game Pass. And I think that you're not alone there. I think even those who have been turned off by it might be interested in trying it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
All right. Well,
got anything else to say about COD, Randy, before we move on?
No, I'm ready to move on to the next one.
Okay, well, I know you're ready, and I know you're trying to push me along here, but we're going to pump the brakes for a minute, because I have to tell the people about Twitch, Randy. Now, I know that y'all, speaking to y'all right now, you know who you are. You already know about Twitch, okay? You know about our Twitch specifically. But those of you in YouTube land or Spotify land or wherever you are, Apple Podcast land, we stream on Twitch all the time. We stream on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern. We do a lot of fun stuff. We'd love to have you come hang out with us.
Absolutely. If you want to check out the podcast live, that one's Sundays at 8 p.m.
Facts. No cap. On God. For real, for real. All right, Randy, you ready for topic number 2?
Yeah. So one of the more, I guess it was disappointing news was that Ubisoft has kind of broken apart the team that put together a game we got early. I think it was earlier this year, right? It was like back in January, February. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. A wonderful game.
Yeah, I think it was real early this year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they've kind of broken that team apart, and they have them working on other projects now. Instead of a potential sequel, which apparently was pitched to Ubisoft, and they have denied that, or they denied the possibility of a sequel because they said that, one, it would cannibalize the sales of this first game, The Lost Crown, and then also it sold under expectations, which is a big bummer.
That is a bummer. I don't know that I'm completely shocked, because it is kind of a departure from what Ubisoft is known for primarily. But
yeah, it's actually a good game, right?
Yeah, well, damn. Yeah, it is a good game, and it's kind of the stuff that me and you were, we wanted to see more of this from Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
And I voted with my wallet. I even bought the game. So, like, that is sad to hear, because I am tired of, Assassin's Creed and just the same cookie cutter stuff from Ubisoft. And this news made me sad to hear that apparently we won't get a follow-up to what was a pretty great little Metroidvania.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a silver lining to this. So the team that put together The Lost Crown is essentially the same team that put together Rayman Legends and maybe even Rayman Origins. I'm not entirely sure on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Basically, and those games are my favorite 3D platformers. They are just so fluid. They are so fun, fast-paced, challenging, just really great 3D platformers. And I think a lot of that experience went into making Prince of Persia: Lost Crown phenomenal also. As the actual platforming, the combat, like the fluidity, it just felt great.
Yes,
and apparently
there was also a lot of Metroid Dread influence in that game as well, like clearly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Metroid Dread came out, well enough before this. I do think some influence was definitely baked in this game. But what I was going to say is that apparently some of the people are now working on the beginning stages of a new Rayman game. that may be a remaster slash remake of an older Rayman game, or it might be a new one. That's not exactly clear. But so there is a bit of a silver lining to this, that they're not doing, a sequel to The Lost Crown.
I mean, maybe that is a silver lining. I know you really like Rayman. I don't really have any, strong feelings towards Rayman one way or the other. And we are getting a lot of Prince of Persia stuff here lately, with Lost Crown, and then we're getting Rogue Prince of Persia. But I don't know. I think it's a cool IP. So, me personally, I would have rather Ubisoft say, like, okay, here you go. Here's the keys to the kingdom. Y'all made a great game. Now make another great game that'll sell better. See what you can do. That's what I would have rather seen. But maybe we'll get a great game from it. I mean, there's a non-zero chance. That's for sure.
It almost feels like that doesn't happen as much anymore, though, right? It's almost like you have to. The only way you're going to get greenlit for a sequel is not based on the potential of the game. Like, it's not just about, is it fun? Was it a good game?
Yeah.
It's all about, like, did it, make numbers? That's like the only thing they care about.
Absolutely. And I mean, I get it. As a big company, you got to make money or you're not going to be a big company forever. So I understand where they're coming from, and maybe it didn't make numbers. Are you ready for the poll here? Because it talks about numbers. So we asked the people, we said, did you even play Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown? Hit us with the results there, Gampaw.
Yeah, 13% of people said yes. 70% of people said no because I wasn't interested. 9% said no because it was too expensive. And then 8% said no because it wasn't on Steam. So only, even if you just say the 13% is pretty bad in terms of people who played it, you could add that 9% and 8% saying it was too expensive and wasn't on Steam. They may have bought it under different circumstances, but still 70% of people just saying they weren't interested. I mean, the game is maybe doomed to fail from the very beginning, no matter what.
And why do you think that is? Do you think it's just because it was a 2D game and people just, as a whole, seem to think those are lesser?
I do think that's part of it. I do think for sure that the fact that it's a 2D game, and people do look at 2D games and they say, like, no matter what, they're going to look at a 2D game. And if it's not like 10, 20 bucks, they're going to be like, that's kind of expensive. So definitely that. The Steam thing, I think, is also a big part of it. There was a fella who works for Larian. I think he does he's like part of the publishing side of Larian. Came out and said that he thought Prince of Persia would have done much better had it been on Steam day one, because Ubisoft has not been putting their new games on Steam. They seem to be turning around on that because the new Assassin's Creed game that's coming out, Shadows, is going to be on Steam day one. They kind of have pivoted and decided they want to sell a few copies, I guess. But so those are those things. Now, there's a comment later on that is probably what I feel like is the majority of why people weren't interested, but we'll save that for when we get to it.
Okay. Were you ready to jump into a comment?
Yeah.
All right. Our first comment here comes to us from Crystalline Fos. Crystalline Fos, who said, the game looked really cool and was a bit pricey. More than that, I feel there are so many good games and people have big backlogs. I'm sure I'd enjoy the game, just hard to justify spending on it when there's so many games I already own I have to play still. And that is definitely an ever-growing problem for the modern gamer. I mean, anytime a new game comes out, I'm always like, would I rather play that or would I rather play a great game that I already have that I haven't played? That
well, you literally just said the same thing about Call of Duty. You know what I mean? It's like, you said that, it's like, I don't even know if I would play it because I have so many other games I need to play.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a story that definitely, for sure, like you said earlier, there's just so many games to play, so many great games to play.
Yes.
That a game has to be more than just a good game. It has to be able to capture the attention and it has to really be able to grab people to make people want to play it.
Yes, it has to do something to like get its hooks in me. And you guys that watch the podcast every week, you saw it last week. You saw the moment that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero put its hooks in me with a big ass roster, right? You got to have something like that like catches me. And I understand maybe Prince of Persia didn't do that for people. But
no, it didn't. I mean, I would not have played it if it wasn't from the Rayman team, and I was like, I love those games so much, that I was like, I want to play their next game. If I didn't have that connection with it, I would have been like, okay, it's a Metroidvania. I like Metroidvanias, but there are a lot of great Metroidvanias out there.
Yeah.
I can play another one. Prince of Persia, I don't really have any particular attachment to the IP. I think I would have stayed away from it, honestly. Even if I heard that from other people that actually it's surprisingly good, I don't think I would have played it.
Yeah. I think what got me interested in it was the trailer. It looked like it had such slick movement. And, I feel like I've been beating this drum since the game came out, but I think it's obvious there's a lot of Metroid Dread influence, and I think it comes in the movement. So, you've got that slide. You have, like, the extremely snappy, like, very responsive controls. Like, you're like, pixel accurate in Prince of Persia, right? This is not, like, a floaty kind of deal, right? And the movement looked so fun. That's kind of what got me. Because I had come off Metroid Dread a year or two earlier and loved it because of the movement. And then you sing the praises of the Rayman team all the time, so that's kind of what got me into it. That being said, I never finished it.
Well, it was not the shortest game. Metroidvanias generally aren't that long, and I do feel like this one was a little bit longer than it needed to be. But that being said, it is so good. It had great puzzles, some amazing, very difficult boss fights. Maybe that turned some people off because it was a hard game.
Mm-hmm. Could be. All right, you want another comment?
I think the main thing that turned people off is from this next comment. This is from I always struggle with this. Titania. Okay. We've read some of your comments before, and I struggle because it's just like it doesn't look right. But I got it now. Who says, I'm super interested, but no, I didn't buy it because it's made by Ubisoft, and I would never spend a penny on them. I think this is the bulk of the reason that people were not interested in this game, purely because published by Ubisoft. End of story.
It's certainly an uphill battle when you slap Ubisoft on the game. It is for me, and I'm sure it is for a lot of other people too. I mean, it really
is for everybody.
And the reason that this game, besides the movement, besides the Metroidvania of it all, if it looked so different from what they normally do, and that's probably what at least got it in my ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
If it had in any way looked similar to what they usually do, I wouldn't have given a damn.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, you are just a great example. You are a huge Star Wars fan.
I am a great example. Thank you.
And if Ubisoft, if they can't get you to play a Star Wars game because Ubisoft's, there, and it's like, it looks like it has way too much of that old Ubisoft formula in it, that's a problem. And that's a Ubisoft problem.
Yeah, I agree. That is a Ubisoft problem, not a MeBisoft problem. That is a Ubisoft problem. And you're right. I mean, if they can't get me to play a Star Wars game, that being said, I still haven't played Jedi Survivor, but it's not because of the game, and it's not even because of EA. It's just because I haven't played it. I want to. I just haven't. But
the reason they didn't get you to play that is because it didn't work well on Steam Deck at launch. That's the number one reason. You were so into your Steam Deck when it first came out that I think you were pretty anti playing it anywhere but Steam Deck.
Was so into my Steam Deck. You mean the Steam Deck that I keep within arm's reach literally like all the time? Yeah, no, I was. You're absolutely right.
No, I'm just saying, like, something very similar happened recently with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Also, maybe didn't play so hot on the Steam Deck, and you were like, well, okay, let's play it on PlayStation. I don't think you would have done that with, or you obviously didn't do that with Jedi Survivor.
No, but if I had been able to pull up the website for Jedi Survivor and seen that you could play as literally every badass Jedi that has ever swung a lightsaber, it would have. It was the roster that moved me, man, with Sparking Zero. It really was. Like, I saw that roster, and I'll tell you what I saw. I saw potential, Randy. I saw potential that me and you could stream this game and have dumb as hell fantasy matchups from Dragon Ball history on stream and laugh, and that got me excited.
We'll stream it sometime this week. I need to get into it and play a little bit of it.
Yeah, get in there and do some tutorial. Learn how to play because it's not super complex, but there are some things.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll
still
be
learning
bad at it no
for
matter
sure.
what. But yeah, but yeah, the Ubisoft problem. That's the Prince of Persia thing. It's
Yeah.
like they can't escape it, and it's something that Ubisoft's gonna have to continue to deal with, especially since they're just not helping it with the games they're putting out recently.
Hmm.
I don't think that the recent Star Wars Outlaws game was that bad. It just wasn't good enough to turn the tide. And when you stack that up against things like Skull and Bones, that Avatar game, the list could just go on and on and on of recent games they put out that really are just pure Ubisoft slop. It's
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
they're just not helping themselves.
And we do have one more comment here who maybe raises one more issue, maybe with the lead up to Prince of Persia. So this one comes to us from Golden X Shark, who said no because I had no. And see, this is clearly censored, so I'm just gonna have to improvise. I'm gonna say no because I had no ass clue it existed. Did they market this anywhere?
You nailed it.
I I saw this
You nailed
comment in the outline and saw that you had censored it, and I was like, I have to read this one because I want to make that joke. So I'm glad I got to. I didn't. Fate just, smiled upon me.
It did. You had about a 50-50 chance.
I did. I had a 50-50 shot. And I don't know. It did end up on our radar, but I mean, we're pretty plugged into gaming, so I don't really
Yeah,
know
we are.
how. I don't know how much they marketed it.
This is weird because it was a Ubisoft original. Like they published it under a separate line than just their regular like Ubisoft line.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's for. I think that's technically for their like smaller scale, maybe double A indie games, maybe.
I don't think you can slap Ubisoft on a game and call it indie.
I
we
know,
can,
right?
We can apply it to the rubric if we need to.
Well, yeah, I think that's definitely not an indie, but it was a smaller scale game, probably made with a smaller team and a smaller budget, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So they probably didn't put as much behind it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I felt like people did know about it, but at the same time, I mean, obviously not everyone knew about it because there probably are people who are like, wait, a Prince of Persia game came out this year? I had literally no clue at all.
Right. No ass clue at all.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't.
Yeah. Same. I mean, we can only suppose because we hear about everything because
Yeah,
if I don't hear about
read
it,
like
if I don't hear about it, you don't let me miss it, and
right,
you
yeah.
you read every article that ever is written. So
I don't read every article that's ever written, but I do read a lot of articles on like if you
VGC.
guys want to like stay in on gaming news, I'll go ahead and give you. There's two places that you need to go, and you with this two-pronged approach, you will learn about every gaming story that ever crosses humanity's able to think about it. One is Spawn Wave, which is a YouTube channel. John from Spawn Wave does a wonderful job of doing every weekday. He does a roundup of the previous day's news. Very cool. And then for up to like the day of articles, I usually do VGC, Video Game Chronicle, or Video Game Chronicles. Chronicles? I don't know.
Video. I think it's Chronicle.
Yeah, Chronicle is my first, but then I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
We
But
do love John.
We love John. John is just an upstanding video game citizen. So
I think John is a JON though, so we got to make sure we get that right.
oh, is he a John? Is he a JON?
I think he's a JON John. I'm not entirely sure about that, but
I'm not either.
yeah, that's a great way if you're just interested in gaming news. Of course, if you want a recap of the last bit of news from this past week in gaming, the biggest stories, you come to the Gaming Geek podcast. That's where you go.
Hell right. That's where you go. All right, Randy, you got anything else to say about Prince of Persia and Ubisoft and just usual Ubisoft slop?
No, but before we move on to our next topic, I want to let you guys know about our Discord server. So, look, if you have a Discord account and you want to find a place that you can talk about video games, like the conversations we're having right now, but you just throughout the week with all these cool people, you need to join our Discord server. There is an invite link in the description of this podcast if you're watching it on YouTube or if you're listening to it wherever you're listening to. But we would just love for you to join us. So, come hang out with us, come talk video games. Of course, it's free and no pressure, but it's super fun.
It is, and you don't even have to have AI summarize your notifications. All right.
No, but you can if you want to.
You can. It's pretty nice. All right. Topic number 3. Randy, we're fitting to turn the page to a new month. Okay. Now, November's known for a lot of things, being the 11th month of the year, right? Some might call it the penultimate month, being the first month where maybe fall finally arrives for a week in North Georgia. I don't know. Being the month where maybe it finally gets cold in North Georgia. I don't know. But more than anything, Randy, I think it's known colloquially as New Game November.
Well, I mean, like, November this year is, I think, an interesting month for new games. So, like holiday season, all the big games come out. I think typically October is the biggest month, but I think November is also a big month. But this November is a little weird to me. I kind of have put together a little graphic here that shows some of the bigger games coming out in November. And does anything stand out to you about this, Daniel? Because something definitely stands out to me about this.
Yeah, I'll tell you what stands out to me personally is I'm 100% going to play Path of Exile 2. I know that's not what you wanted me to say, but that is what jumps out at me. I've been looking forward to PoE 2 since I first played Diablo 4 and started doing some research on ARPGs. PoE 2 looks freaking sick. I never played PoE 1. I'm way too late to the party for that, but I'm going to be on time for PoE 2. So, yes, Randy, that's what jumps out to me. But what jumps out to you?
No, I was going to say, one, that is amazing. But no, there's just no, like, big, like, blockbuster game, in my opinion, in November.
Did you not listen to what I just said?
I know Path of Exile 2. But I think that, although I think there are definitely some people who are excited about that game, interestingly, there's just not, like, something huge. And this fact, like, there's some cool ones. We got here in this thing. We got Mario and Luigi Brothership, Stalker 2. I think that both those games are kind of, I mean, they're bigger games, but sort of niche audiences. Lego Horizon Adventures, which we get so many Lego games. This one's cool in its own way, but, okay. Mm-hmm. New Flight Simulator, of course, Path of Exile 2. Then we got Slitterhead, which is a game I included because I'm really interested in that game personally. Yeah. And then Planet Coaster 2. No huge, like, this is obviously going to be the biggest game of the month, but I put out a poll asking to kind of see what was, and I honestly didn't know what the results were going to be, and I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, so we said, which new game of November are you most interested in playing? 50% said Mario and Luigi Brothership, 23% said Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, 7% said Lego Horizon Adventures, 20% said something else, and 78% said Path of Exile 2 because it's going to be a damn banger. And it got slotted by not having its own position in the poll.
Well, I didn't include it in the poll, but because I don't know, I think I rightfully maybe I should have traded that one out for Lego Horizon Adventures. Whenever I'm doing these polls, it's tough because I know I have 4 options, and I know I got to include something else for something like this. So I try to pick, like, what are the 3 biggest games, and I kind of thought Mario and Luigi Brothership needed to be there because that's the big one from Nintendo, and you got to have the big Nintendo game. Stalker 2, I hear a lot of people talking about. I'm not playing the Stalker games, but I am interested in that one. I think it does have some horror stuff going on in it. Mm-hmm. And then the third spot, I just wasn't sure. And I did consider Path of Exile 2, but...
Yeah, I'm telling you, the ARPG community is hyped for PoE 2. Because a lot of them still haven't forgiven Diablo for launching crappy, right? Even though Diablo's good now. Although I will say the new season seems to run worse than it used to, which has kind of dampened my excitement. But Diablo's good now, but it wasn't originally. So I know people are psyched for PoE 2. So
Maybe they're all the 20%.
I don't know if it would have rocked, more than 7%. Well, the world may never know. It's like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a whatever the hell. But
I also don't remember reading any comments from anybody like particularly jazzed about it.
but you
But
must have not read my comment.
yeah, I know you commented on there.
Nah, I'm just poking at you because I am really excited about PoE 2. But it's also only releasing in early access.
So that's your game that you're most excited about for November, I assume.
Definitely.
For me, it's like, one, I was surprised to see Mario and Luigi Brothership get this many votes. And I think that just kind of speaks to the fact that there's not a big, huge blockbuster game. The fact that a Mario Luigi game, which those aren't even that popular games. I mean, like, yeah, obviously it's got Mario in the title, but Mario and Luigi, these are some like RPGs. I don't think they've historically been the best-selling games in the entire world. I mean, we'll go into a comment here in a minute about the studio that put them together. So I was just surprised to see that happen. I am interested in it though. I'm also interested in Lego Horizon, like because it's got co-op, and I love the co-op Lego games.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that for me, it's got to go to another one of the something else's, which is Planet Coaster 2.
Yeah,
that's the game that I'm most excited to play.
I know you're excited about that one.
Yeah,
that'll probably be really cool. You know that Roller Coaster Tycoon has a piece of my heart, so I'll definitely keep up with that and see how it reviews. Same thing with Mario and Luigi. I'm not going to jump on it day one, but if everybody says it's the best thing that's ever come out, I'll play it.
That's fair.
That's kind of where I land on it. But PoE is going to be free to play, so like I'm 100% playing that. Like there's just no way I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, going back to our Mario and Luigi Brothership, like we have a comment here. This one's from Randomized YouTuber, who says, the GBA Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is one of my favorite games, and the other 4 Alpha Dream made were also very amazing. I was heartbroken to find out they went bankrupt and wouldn't be able to make Mario and Luigi games. I'm so excited for Brothership. In fact, when I saw the trailer for it, I thought I was dreaming. And this is what I'm talking about. Like Mario and Luigi, like Alpha Dream were the Mario and Luigi people, and they ended up having to close down shop. And we all thought Mario and Luigi games were just done. And it made me think, well, these games probably haven't sold that well, or that maybe Alpha Dream would have made it. And it's like the fact that it's still the number one most, hyped game for November is just wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, albeit it may not have had a ton of competition, but I do think it really made a lot of people who maybe had given up they'd ever get another one of these games really happy.
I think you're 100% right on that. I think that it's part of it is just like the excitement of like, oh my gosh, it's back. We thought it was dead and now it's back. So there's definitely that. And on top of that, I don't know if you've watched any of the trailers for this game, like besides like the announcement trailer.
I have.
So they look great, don't they? I mean, like
yeah.
The game looks really good.
It looks really nice. I really like the art style. I've heard some criticism on YouTube for the way it looks, and not going to drop any names, but I don't really understand it. Honestly, I think it looks really nice.
It's kind of like the art style is a little like, if you're used to traditional Mario art, it's not that. So I get how you could be kind of like weirded out by it in a way. I can understand that, but I also think it looks really good.
It's like a soft kind of look.
So many Switch games have that soft look though, right?
I mean it doesn't bother me. I agree with you. I think it looks awesome. So I'll monitor it. I don't know. You going to play it day one? You jumping on the Brothership day one, Randy?
I think Brothership's going to be one that I rent. So I probably won't be there day one, because usually when I rent a game, and even if they ship it to me like a day or two before it comes out, it usually doesn't get to me until a couple days after. So I probably won't be there day one, but I probably will play it, as close to launch as I can get renting it. Mm-hmm. And then if I love it, I'll buy it. But
yeah, fair enough. All right, we got another comment here. This one comes to us from Mr. Foxhat. We've read a lot of comments from Mr. Foxhat over the years, who said, I already am not a fan of the Horizon games. why would I be interested in a Lego version of them? And this comment really speaks to me because I'm already not a fan of the Lego games. So why would I be interested in a Horizon version of them? Is kind of the way I come at it from like the complete inverse. I think Horizon's kind of cool. Like I've always thought it was a neat looking IP. But I
You've
just
tried, right? Didn't you play a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn? Or
yeah,
did you
and
not?
I
Have you not
enjoyed
played
it.
it?
I enjoyed what I played. I don't remember why I stopped. I might have been playing it on Frankie's PlayStation or something. I don't really remember what circumstances were surrounding when I played a little bit of Horizon, but I liked it. So I'm not Horizon averse, and I'm not even really Lego averse. I'm just not psyched for it. You know, I've said on here before that I want to try this Skywalker saga again. So that there is a small part of me that wants to play a Lego game, but this just ain't the one.
Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, they're collectathons. They all have a very they're puzzle collectathon. They have some action elements, but they are catered towards a younger audience. Like there's just no denying that. And but the thing that I like about them is that they have really great co-op gameplay. And there's just so few co-op games that you got to kind of take anything you can get.
Yeah.
And the Lego games they're consistently delivering good co-op experiences. Yes, they may be catered towards a more younger audience, but you know, if you got to take what you get what you get, and these are consistently good.
Right. You get what you get. Don't pitch a fit.
100%.
All right. We got one more comment here, Randy. Hit us with Billy Genosis.
Yeah. This one says, I'm looking forward to Metro VR. And I wanted to bring this one up because one, I do think Metro VR looks quite good, but I wanted to bring this up because this month, November, and last month, or the month we're currently in, October, but October and November have had some pretty big VR releases, and it makes me excited as a VR enthusiast to see some big VR games come out and to do quite well with reviews. Like we recently got this new Batman Arkham game, and the reviews have been just like stellar, like really, really good. And I hope that Metro can also get that. Maybe we can get some momentum going for VR.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm excited, for you and all the other VR enthusiasts, to get another bone thrown their way. I heard that y'all set up a meet and greet. I heard you rented out the back room of an Applebee's for you and all the other VR enthusiasts left. And I'm excited for y'all to show up with your Oculuses and whatnot and just nerd out. So I'm just kidding. I'm shitting on VR, but I don't really mean it. I just think it's funny.
No, I mean, like, you're right. There's not a whole lot of VR enthusiasts. And I am currently in just a huge conundrum. We've talked about this Arkham game. It looked good. Like, I'd watched trailers and I was like, oh, I really want to play that Arkham VR game, or the new one. But the problem is that it's only on the Quest 3. Of course,
Yeah.
I have a Quest 2. I have a
Right.
PlayStation VR.
Have you made any progress in that mental debate? Because we did a whole like, I don't remember if it was a bonus episode or a main episode where we talked.
It was main episode. We talked about it, and I was kind of debating: do you go for the Quest 3 or do you go for the Quest 3S? And I was trying to decide which one I wanted. I think I'm decided I'm going to do the Quest 3, but I'm going to do a refurbished one, save some money, and get a refurbished one. But that's kind of where I'm at. But I was kind of partially hoping, that maybe this Batman Arkham VR game was going to come out and it wasn't going to be that great, and I wouldn't be like feel more FOMO about missing out on and not having a Quest 3. But now it comes out and the reviews are just amazing. Now I'm in an even worse place because now I'm like every day I'm like, it's today the day I finally bite the bullet and just order one and get it over here. Yeah, that's where I'm at currently.
So how much is it going to run you to play that Batman game there, Randy?
I know that's the thing. It's like, and I know that once I have it, I can use it for other things, but I don't really need it for other things because I can plug my PSVR 2 into my PC if I really wanted. I can get one of the adapters, or I can just use my Quest 2, which is still a perfectly serviceable headset. So yeah, it's going to cost quite a bit. I mean, like, Of course, the Quest 3 on its own is like $500. But I think the refurbished ones are like they're less than 400, but then you add on tax and stuff plus the game. So it probably all end up being about $450 just to play one game.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well,
I don't know about that.
every time we talk about it, I feel like I kind of land on the same place, which is it reminds me of when I bought the Steam Deck OLED. Because,
Yeah.
there's nothing the OLED can play that the LCD can't. It just looks better, lasts longer. That's about it, right? It looks better, it lasts longer, it's got a little faster Wi-Fi. But I bought it anyway because I'm a huge enthusiast for the Steam Deck. And when they eventually release another one, I'll do the same thing, right? So,
Right.
Randy, you can't take it. You can't take your money with you. So just go to the backyard, dig up a pile of gold, because I know you've got it back there, Randy. I see you in your backyard digging holes and putting your doubloons in them. I see it all the time. I act like I don't, but I do, Randy. I see it. And then when it rains a lot, they float to the surface, and you have to go out there and dig holes again. And it's a vicious cycle, and I just want you to be happy.
Well, maybe I'll just go cash in a couple of my doubloons and see if I can get me a Quest 3. I don't know. I've definitely been heavily considering it. So,
Yeah. Well,
and like I said, the reviews being so positive is just like, and I hope that Metro VR is just as good because that game looks like the trailers I've seen have looked so good. So, I've not really played any Metro games, but I had never played a Half-Life game before Half-Life Alyx. So
Right.
I kind of feel like, it makes me interested in wanting to play it, wanting to get into the series.
and how are you going to continue to make gaming related content if you don't keep up with the Joneses, right? You have to. It's a tax write off at this point.
Oh my gosh, that is one of the being a gaming content creator, you really do feel like you got to keep up with all the new games. And it's like I love VR. I love making VR stuff. And it's like, but if I don't have the new headset to play the new VR games, how can I do it?
You can't, Randy. You can't do it.
Oh my gosh, you are such a bad influence on my wallet.
I just think you deserve it, man. I think you work hard, and I think you deserve it. I think you need to treat yourself. I mean, I think you just dig up a few doubloons out in the backyard and send that crap off to Zuckerberg.
Send it to the Zuck.
Yeah, send it to the Zuck. Lord knows he's fallen on hard times.
I know he has.
All right, Randy, we done talking about New Game November?
I think so.
Okay, so we're almost done here, guys. But before we go, I want to tell you guys about this bonus episode that we film every podcast. As soon as we cut, we press play on a new one, okay? But you have to be a podcast member in order to get access to that. It is behind a little bit of a paywall. It is always appreciated, never required. So if you want to join, feel free. If you don't worry about it. But today, we are discussing, and bear with me on this, because this is going to sound like I'm making a mistake, but I'm not. We are talking about Starfield 2, because, and I quote, it's going to be one hell of a game, okay? So we want to shout out our current YouTube members, and they are as follows. Thank you, Heck. Thank you, Landon. Thank you, Guy. And thank you, Kit. Y'all get to hear us talk about Starfield 2. Crazy
That's right.
stuff.
Yeah, and if you guys just want some more gaming gig, if you're not a YouTube member, check out that join button on the YouTube version of this podcast. That's the place to check it out. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much. So until next time, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
And this has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.